And for this new boss, Bro has a very shiny hat. The boss really doesn't really have much gimmick, just kill the minions, you get a 40% damage buff total. Then you got continuous damage increase by 30%, and curse damage increase by 20%, and assassin 20%. So here's the team. For the sake of being able to follow for many people, I borrow the A2 code. So A0, A1, A2, A3, you can all follow this rotation. A6 code, I have a rotation link at the end of the video. But yeah, code is generally quite good for Berry, but there's probably exception if you have like high awareness twins, like A6 twins, maybe even A4, A2, maybe you can replace core. Because the thing is, Berry's highlight doesn't really do much damage compared to the skill 3. Sometimes the skill 3 does like double the damage of the highlight, so it's possible to skip core. Whether or not that's better or not, you have to test it yourself. I'm not very sure. But yeah, Berry, her cards are the new card, the Perseverance and Sorrow for the continuous damage increase and other damage stuff. Then for stats, you want at least 41.8% crit here. If you don't have Cord A1, you need to plus 15%, and Pierce, I need 21.4% Pierce. It also depends on your dagger. The Curse Ties dagger, the newest dagger, my one is only R3. So if you have higher dupes on the weapon, you need less Pierce. So I guess it depends. Yeah, I almost forgot to show the Mindscape. Then our support, Marion. Marion is very good here. I found her better than my A1, R1 twins. The twins finally is worse at something, right? Because after this point, twins are literally like best in stock for everything. But once they are not best in stock for this team, of this DPS. Of course, you can still replace Marion with twins. They still work pretty well actually. Marion here is useful because of the crit rate. You can reach the crit cap easier, and also the item, the DOT item, which allows, you know, increase in DOT damage for Berry. Then she's running Creation of Reconciliation, and she's the A0. Then Cord. I have to look at my guildmate's cord, not my cord. So this is Departure Control. You need the defense debuff here. If I want to show mine should be max here. Then I'll just show the stats, I guess. Yeah, cord is there for the highlight, for a bit of shock, 10%. And A1 also gives 50% crit rate, so that's useful. Then the navigator, Miku A1. Unfortunately, my Miku is A1, so you have to always have A1 to follow this because the rotation changes a lot. Okay, I won't say a lot, but it definitely changes the highlight rotation. Then this is a max Mindscape. And then she's running Hope Labor for the Pierce, and she's A1 R0. Miku is actually especially good for Berry because of the extra turn. Since Berry doesn't really have like a setup move in between. So Makoto Yuki is like a skill 1, skill 3, skill 1, skill 3, there's a skill 1. There's like a low damage skill in between. Berry doesn't really have that, aside from like the first couple turns. Because after you set up the love stack, you set up the Chains of Love stack, the A0, you can just spam skill 3, and the extra turn, 2 turns of skill 3 can add a lot of damage, as you can see later on. Now Dagger, of course, use a new one. Sadly, I don't have Joy Medals to get it to higher dupe. Again, the pierce rate is going to depend on your Dagger, depending on if you have higher or lower dupes. Then for Persona, this is literally full on defense debuff stuff. We have Vishnu here for Rakunda, and the signature skill for defense debuff. I'm not even running Dionysus here because I need the defense debuff. Basuki is useful for the signature skill. This is to apply like the increase, the damage taken increase, whatever thing. And when you have 5 stacks of this thing, which you get every time an ally debuffs the enemy, will increase continuous damage of 15% for 3 turns. And this one is another increase in damage for 3 turns also. And then he also applies a DOT, which doesn't really do much damage, but it's extra bonus, I guess. So that's nice. Then Yanosek. Yanosek, you also want Rakunda. Actually no, Vishnu you don't even need Rakunda. But yeah, anyways, Yanosek, you need Rakunda. Because applying Rakunda for the first time in battle, or whatever skill from Yanosek for the first time in battle, will also apply the mark, so you get more defense debuff. Oh yeah, and also Tarokaja, because you can store in a attack buff somewhere. Turn order 1, 2, 3, 4. Ideally, the thing is, you swapping should be fine. Cord must be 3rd, Berry must be 4th. Okay, first turn, you do a minion skill 3. You want to do it now so that you can use an item later on, because you can stack, you know, some items. And then generally, I mean, since we got a button already, right, you can control when to break the boss. Since you can do that, you can pretty much just run a regular rotation. And doing that is extra important for Berry because of how her DOT or her Love 6 stack works. It gets the buff that this Love 6 stack is from the application time and not the activation time. It's different. So application time is when you use a skill 2 or when you use a skill 1, I guess, or you reapply with a skill 3. And there is also the activation time. Activation time is when either the boss takes action, then they take the Love 6 stack, or you do a highlight which will activate Love Seed stack. So it's a little bit confusing, but the point is just do a regular rotation. So that by the time you break the boss, the Love Seed stack is at its maximum buffs, if that makes sense. Because you apply it while you have a lot of buff active. There is going to be a bit of RNG here. You gun until 5. 6 to 5. With both Wonder and Cold. If you cannot get it, you restart. You gun, please. Nothing. So you just restart. I will skip to this part again. Okay, got it. If you got it on Wonder's turn, you just grab with Cold. Or you can use a skill 2 also, it's really up to you. Since the code is A1, it auto applies skill 2 anyways. Let me just guard. Then now you can do a berry highlight. So it depends how strong your berry is. If your berry is super strong, you can activate this, then you do a highlight so it doesn't kill. Your berry is weak, like mine is only A0. You can just highlight the middle one to reduce another down point. If you cannot, you just delay until the break turn, then you use a skill 1 to kill everything. Now we use a berry highlight first on the middle. But if you delay it, it means that you need to tank more, because there's 5 of them, they will attack you. Now you do a skill 1, hit the side, kill everything now. There's no reason to delay this, just kill them right now, because the buff they apply is permanent. The 40% damage buff. And this will also give the boss 10 stacks of Love Seed. So you will immediately have the max stacks already. Now make sure you activate the button. Remember that. So you don't kill. Now you do a Heaven skill 1 for the Pierce. Then skill 2 for Marion, the buff. And now Vasuki. So a tip with Vasuki is make sure you have 5 stacks of this every time you use it. You get this stack every time you debuff. So let me just switch to Vasuki first, let me show you. So every time you debuff any ally that use a debuff move, even something like a shock also counts as a debuff. But I'm pretty sure you can only get 1 stack per turn. So 1 stack per action. This is per action, should be 1 ally. 1 ally can only give 1. So if you defense debuff and shock at the same time record and departure control is only 1 stack. And you can set up to 5 times, even in reserve. So you need to be very careful, make sure that you have 5 stacks here, because the 5 stacks give you the continuous damage increase 15%, and I'm pretty sure this is a final damage increase, because it's a different damage calculation and different damage bracket. You also inflict another the Serpent's Venom, which is extra DOT. This one doesn't really do much damage, so I don't really need to worry. And this is like a max overclock thing, so I have max overclock. But yeah, I do Vasuki. Make sure it's 5 stacks, you can see from under here. So you apply or you can just check the wording continuous damage up. Make sure that it shows. If it shows, it means that you applied it. You will apply the 15% damage, continuous damage increase. You call skill 2, then you can do skill 3. The DOT button, DOD, Devour Dreams button, this is life sustain button, very useful. Took a while, but it finally came. And then you can do a play with fire skill 1. For the crit damage. If you don't have crit damage, if you don't have enough crit rate, just use the crit rate one, which is skill 2. But I can just use skill 1 here. Then we can do a Marion skill 1. This skill 1 will last until the end, so you only need to apply it 1 time. Then Vasuki highlight for the debuff. And then you can do a Vishnu. And then a Court skill 1, the shock. And I'll get a 10% increase, and also the defense departure control for the defense down, you see here. Then skill 1. This skill 1 will give us a final stack of Chain of Love, this one. You get this from skill 1 or highlight. Just now we use 1 highlight, 1 skill 1, so we have 2 stacks. Now we can do another one. So since this is an A2 Court, if you're using A6 Court, I will show again the rotation at the end. For Court, you can do another skill 3 somewhere here or previous turn, because A6 gives you a permanent damage buff after using a Kachi hook, so you want to use it. You cannot use it for A2 or anything below A6 because of the cooldown. By default, code has 1 cooldown. And then it goes to 2, then it goes to 3. If it goes to 3, you cannot use both Keshi Hook during the weakened state because it's only 4 turns. Now there's a long skill. You go to Spring Storm. Spring Storm, then use skill 2. Then now you can do a DOT item. That's why you want to use a Marion skill 3 just now, so that you can use the item right now, even though it's not break turn. But it's fine because this thing lasts for 2 turns. Then you can do a skill 3. So we can use another item next turn. So we can stack 2 items. And then Yanoshi Kunda, this will also apply the mark. Then let's skill 2, we need to refresh the buff. And then you unsustain, remember to click the button, because now we break the boss. You use a skill 3. Okay, now we enter break turn. First thing you do, use a Marion highlight right now. You need A1 Miku for this, but using a highlight now, then use a skill 3 for Miku will refresh or restart the highlight counter. So the next time highlight is active, I can use a Marion highlight. So with the Miku, now we have 4 turns total. Then do damage item. So on this turn, we have both DOT and also damage item active. And unfortunately, they nerfed Miku. They nerfed Miku, or I guess they fixed Miku, but I'll call it a nerf. It's very unfortunate because previously when you use a skill or item during the virtual concert turn, the 2 extra turns, they don't count down. Now they do. They fix it, unfortunately. Now Tarukaja. Very unfortunate. Then you do a code skill 3. It was a nice damage. Sadly, the higher damage from Barry isn't really that high. So right after this attack, it should get knocked down. That's why you want to do a gun just now. If you didn't do a gun, you need to do another hit to knock down. You need to code highlight. Sadly, you cannot knock down the enemy and break at the same time, because for some reason that doesn't work. So you can only knock it down during the break turn, during the weakened state. The code highlight just now, then you can check the crit here, plus 10% because of the shock. Then you do a skill 3 for some good damage. Then you do a DOT item here. So on this turn, both DOT and damage item are still active, because the damage item we used just now, right? And let me just show you that the Miku was indeed nerfed. You will see that the damage item, just the one we used last turn, is now only 1 turn left because it ticked down. Previously it did not tick down. This one turn. This is very unfortunate, because I mean the buff not counting down is a very unique thing. It makes rotation super interesting. Now things become quite simple now. You just reapply the buff when it expires. Previously you can do like a Dionysus Tarokaja on turn 5, your last all the way until turn 8. Now you have to refresh it. Oh, it's unfortunate. Then now you can do a berry highlight. Then a shock from skill 1. And also D1 defense. Then berry skill 3. Then Heaven skill 1, refresh the buff, the Pierce. Then Marion skill 3, need to give us another item use. Then now Vasuki, again make sure you check your 5 stacks. Then you can use Vasuki, because sometimes you might count, or if you don't pay attention you might actually skip it, because it actually happened to me while I was testing. And just check continuous damage up, comes out, then you're okay. Then skill 2. Then Marion highlight. Buff Berry. So this is the work of A1 Miku because it resets the Marion highlight, so I can use it again. So that means all 4 turns of the weakened state all have the Summon Marion buff, the highlight buff. Now do skill 3. Then the final turn, you can check the start using the skill 1 is still active. Rakunda should still be active also. The mark is also active, so all the defense debuff are still active. Very important in defense style and departure control also one turn. This is the Vishnu debuff. Then you go to play with fire. And then you use the skill 1. For crit damage. Then you can do a DOT item. Then Marion skill 2. Then you can do Tarokaja because it wore off. If it didn't wear off, if we still have Miku, if they didn't nerf the Miku, then we can just do Tarokaja instead for extra buff. But sadly we cannot. It has been patched. Then we skill 3. And then you can do a skill 3 from Berry. Nice. 655, that's pretty good. And this is from an A0 DPS by the way. A0.